Hey, Ryu here, part of the script writing team as well as a voice actor for this project of ours. I'm so glad you've made it this far to episode 5, unless you've skipped some of the episodes, which is alright, because this episode holds quite the deep story which involves a legend, a tale old as time, and two fated souls bounded in an everlasting cycle of turmoil and tribulation. Curious in how these two deal with their predicament? Then you'll have to sit back, grab a popcorn or whatever snack you like, and listen to the story unfold before your very ears. To your right, there is a door. Once you cross this threshold, you shall weave your life with the threads of your unbecoming. It will unfold before you, grasp you, and you have no choice but to hold its darkness. For in darkness, we have reason to find the light.
A long, long time ago, there lived two Diwata who loved each other beyond death and eternity. At the dawn of every new season, the couple reunites time and time again, on the very cusp of the world revitalized anew, only for them to meet the same tragic end as soon as their fingers graze skin, and their eyes drown in the sweetest gaze. Poya, the Diwata of fire, and Eloy, the Diwata of ice, were two beings doomed by fate. With a love that should have never come to fruition, they delivered the demise of their own hearts, and tipped the scales of destiny that would shape their souls forever. Fierce and bright as a flame, Poya was Eloy's personal spot of sunshine, but underneath her intense heat, Eloy melted. Little by little, her bones stretched thinner and thinner the brighter Poya burned in her presence, and despite Poya's pleas and cries, the more she tried to keep Eloy, the faster Eloy fell into oblivion. Poya mourned for several lifetimes, reducing greens to blackened ash, before the earth breathed her lover back to life. And when Eloy did return, she was far gentler, languid, liquid. She moved like a poem, and felt like a comforting embrace. Her tears, Poya thought, were as pretty as the shining silver of the moon, falling onto her own reddened cheeks, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. Falling until she couldn't feel her body vanishing into smoke, falling until she could no longer hear the anguished screams tearing from Eloy's throat. Eloy wept, and cursed and clawed at the mountains, demanding half of her soul be brought back to her side, before the earth took pity and offered commiseration. To this day, the Diwatas cannot escape their wheel of destiny. Poya blazes, Eloy perishes. Eloy thrives and Poya withers, and the wheel keeps on turning, turning and turning.
Should I run? Should I kneel and beg for my life? His grip on my arm is tighter now than all the times he's held it before. It's a hallway of empty cells. Empty, because the people who dwelled there no longer walk the path of the living. Where are you taking me? I say, as the man huffs and sniffles even, guiding me toward an empty cell and shoving me inside, him following soon after.
Why is it you? Why you of all people? If I had just known.
He is distraught. I get that. If it weren't for the darkness in this hellish underground, then I would see clearly, the tears in his eyes as he spoke. Are you going to kill me then? He will, I know. I betrayed him.
You know I can't do that.
Why?
Are you playing with me? Or were you just this stupid the whole time?
He steps towards me. I step back a bit. He stops in his tracks. There was no one else here with us. Only the stone walls as witness to our demise. I shake my head. Between me and him, there was a great divide. And for a time I believed something else could bridge the gap, keep us closer. For a time, I was a fool.
Angelo.
My name that was once uttered by his lips, glazed in sweetness and care, now drowned in guilt, despair, and betrayal. I could not look at him. I couldn't. Javier.
Angelo, you never told me all this time.
I know. I couldn't tell you.
Was it all a lie then? All this?
Of course it wasn't. Javier, you of all people should know it wasn't a lie.
Then why keep it from me? You know I could have helped you. You don't know half the things I would do for you. I would even...
Betray your homeland? Run away with me? Promise a life full of splendor and peace? Javier, even so, this world will not let us. Not when my people are still suffering.
Angelo, please.
I have spent my whole life imprisoned by the world around me. I can't bear to imprison myself once more after fighting for my freedom. Even so, the world will shun a love like ours. We cannot keep hiding, Javier.
I do not fear the world, Angelo. I fear losing you. If I must hide from the world, then let it be with you.
He's being stupid again. So stupid. Javier steps towards me, his hands resting on my shoulders. There it is. The familiar touch. The comfort he radiates in the cold nights. I close my eyes. I'm stupid. So stupid. I always let him sway me like this. We both know we cannot do that anymore. But Javier pulls me in an embrace. I'm shaking, but I wrap my arms around him. This might very well be the last time I get to hold him like this. Javier, do you remember the story I told you? About the two Diwatas who could never be together? I tried to smile. Horrible as the situation is, we swore to each other we'd see this to the end. That we would be different from them. I wanted us to have a different ending than them. So badly.
Why didn't you just tell me?
His voice comes out softly, and I couldn't bring myself to answer him. I cannot answer his question not when my answers would only serve as excuses for myself. He deserves more than that. You know why I couldn't tell you. I was afraid, okay? You were part of the civil guards. Can you honestly say that if I told you that I was part of the revolution before, that you wouldn't have handed me straight to your superiors for interrogation?
Yes, Angelo. I would have hidden you from the world. I would have done my best to protect you. From the moment I saw you fight back against those men that were mistreating you, God knows I would have done everything for you, Angelo.
This impossible man, really. Of all the people I could have loved, I chose the most idiotic one of all. Every day he'd visit me, I thought he was just suspicious of me, trying to find evidence to put me in custody. But here we are, right now. I always thought he was strange for one of the supposed corrupt men in power. Remember after you arrested those men, when you tried to follow me home and I punched you in the face for it? I expected you to arrest me and throw me in a cell alongside those men. Weirdly enough, instead of deterring you, it just made you more persistent on following me.
How could I have ever stayed away from you when you looked so beautiful with fire in your eyes?
His voice is tender, fragile, serving only to remind me of how I've hurt this man, how I've shattered his trust. Yet he still holds my hand so gently in his. You know how many times I was tempted to run away with you? I looked him in the eyes. I squeezed his hands in mine to remind myself that we're still here. I've honestly lost count myself. Every time you'd smile at me, every time you lay by my side, I was so tempted to run away with you, but I couldn't. Not when I have a duty to my country and to my brethren.
I know, and it's because of that you're here, sentenced to either be tortured for information or get executed for involvement in the revolution and dissent.
I feel his grip on my hands tighten. The panic in his voice is evident. The torch's flames dance on the reflection of the beads of his sweat, and his breathing is almost audible as faint, warm air hits my face. There's no doubt he's more fearful of this than I am.
But I won't let that happen. Not on my watch. I promise you.
Who is he to fool? We both can see how hopeless the situation is. If I were to escape now, he'll take punishment for it. And just like him, I'd die first before letting anything happen to him. Isn't it funny?
What is?
How similar our situation is to the two Diwata in the story.
Angelo, please.
Listen to me. No matter how you're going to put it, the outcome of our situation stays the same. If I leave, you'll take the blame, won't you? And if I stay, I perish. Just like Poya and Eloy. In the end, we are each other's burdens.
That's where you're wrong. We won't be like them. We're better. We'll write our own happily ever after. We'll decide our fates. We'll turn the tides. We'll both leave this place and...
And what? Hide away in a little house in the mountains? Make our own farm and live in isolation forever? As wonderful as that sounds, that sort of outcome is nothing short of a fairy tale. We live in a world of injustice and cruelty. I cannot sit idly by and watch my own people fall prey to the hands of the wicked and the greedy. I cannot bear to live in peace, knowing that there are still sad souls here, trapped under the tyranny of their rulers. I want freedom, for myself and the people. And a goal like that cannot be achieved by running away.
Angelo, we'll think of something, okay?
Javier. I cup Javier's cheek, staring deeply into the soul of those hazel eyes. Pain, anguish, fear. I could see them all. Oh, what I'd do to rip the darkness from his core and replace it with light. To exchange his sorrow with joy. If the circumstances were different, I'd want nothing more than to travel the world with my soulmate. Our fates have already been decided.
This was never supposed to happen. We weren't supposed to be doing this right now. How do you expect me to go through with this?
He's shaking again. The tremors made more prominent by the shuddering shoulders, the clenching jaw, the heavy breaths through the nose. I know every detail intimately, more than I know the back of my own hand. It's all right, my love. I've always known this day would come eventually. There was no other way around it.
No. What kind of life would be worth living without you in it? How could I even think to diminish you, much less lay a finger on your head, when all my nights are haunted by your smiles and the very stars insist on leading me back to you? You are half of my soul, and I'm half of yours. No flag or religion will ever make me fall onto my knees, begging them for sanctuary, when the only safe haven I've ever known is you. I love you. Unabashedly and unapologetically, I will always love you.
I don't know what to say. I'm stunned, speechless, dazed. I fail to realize that he has his arms circled around me, practically crushing me against his frame.
I love you so much. And you don't need to worry anymore.
A startled gasp escaped my throat. Blood dribbled down my lips and my head spins. I couldn't feel my legs. There's something sharp, buried deep in my back.
If it's not our time yet, we'll just have to be reborn in one that is.
Black spots cloud my vision. The last thing I see is him pulling the dagger from my flesh and plunging it in his beating heart. And that's a wrap for this episode. I apologize it took a while for us to finally release its debut. Time and school haven't been too lenient with us as of late. But nonetheless, we pushed through and provided yet another story for everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we did making it. We're almost at the end of the first season of the Tales from the Catalogs, and it'll only get more interesting from here. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.